Hi family, it's Spanflower here. Thank you for tuning in to my channel. I really appreciate it. Today is Monday, July 31st, 2023. It's the end of the month of July in the city of Chicago, and there's a lot going on around the country as well as in the city. But I wanted to focus on a few points and then we'll talk some facts and stats. We all know about the young lady, Carleen Russell, who faked her disappearance and is now subsequently being charged with that unfortunate situation. But I wanted to talk about a broader topic, and that is the situation with Black women in the inner city when it comes to incarceration, when it comes to missing persons, and definitely when it comes to women being killed. So we had to take a deep dive and looked at a lot of different articles and a lot of different websites and different things like this to get our information. So the videographer and I are going to have a slight conversation about this, and she's going to read off some statistical data that's talking about what's going on with the women, Black women in general. And this is not, it's going on all over the country, but we're just going to focus for this conversation on what's happening with Black women in the city of Chicago. And so when the videographer is ready, she can make her points on it, and then we can have a slight discussion on it. Okay, Ms. Videographer, who is also my research assistant, so thank you very much. Okay, you go ahead, Ms. Videographer.
Hello, Spanflower YouTube channel audience at large. This is the videographer speaking with a few statistical facts that come from an Axios Chicago article that was written in June of this year, June 14th, or published June 14th to be exact, that has some data about crime, particularly as it pertains to Black women. This comes from both the National Crime Information Center database and CBS2 analysis of police data that states that about 25% of crime victims in Chicago last year were Black women, although they make up just 16% of the city's population. That in 2022, Black women were the victims in 35% of city assaults, 38% of batteries, and 50% of human trafficking cases. And that over the past 2 decades, Chicago police say 35% of missing persons have been Black women. The data coming from the National Crime Information Center database states from 2021 that 28% of the nearly 257,400 individuals missing in the U.S. were Black women aged 20 or younger.
This is a very troubling trend, and we thank the videographer for her statistical facts. We need to talk about this. Now, how can we protect Black women, young Black women, older Black women? How can we protect them? And that needs to be a conversation that's had within these communities, because you can't have a stable community if the males are out of order and the females are going through challenges. What happens to the community? So just this weekend in the city of Chicago, I'll give an example. There were 8 women shot on the west side of Chicago. Violence. One of those persons has lost their lives. If this was not a situation in Chicago, if this had been any other ethnic group, everybody will be running around here with their hair twisted up in knots talking about what they can do to help. But this is just a casual news story because there's Black women involved. But this is a serious matter, and we need to think about what can we do to help these women, to help our communities, and that is the most important thing. And we need to find some solutions to that. I don't want to talk about a problem but cannot find a solution. These facts and all these statistics that we're talking about, everybody in the community, or maybe everybody doesn't know, but this is something that we need to address straight away before we can really move forward and do anything. The stability of the Black family resides with the mother, and then the father, of course, in that too, but we just gonna focus on the Black women for right now. And they're having some problems right now, and we need to try to figure out how to solve it. I have one general question, and that is, what is it going to take for Black women to not be targeted in their communities, for them to be safe, for them to have a full life where they live, not having to leave their communities to go elsewhere because they're scared or they feel that there's no way out for them. So that's something that we really need to focus on, because I live in a community that's filled with Black women, and I want to feel safe in the community that I live in. And I think that we can do this. We just need to have more community engagement. We need to have people in the community caring about each other more. We need to have people looking out in the community and seeing something wrong and saying something about it. If you see something going on a block and you walk past that block and you don't say anything, what's to stop it from being your block the next time? So unless we have a robust situation where we are accountable to each other in our communities where we live, this is going to continue to happen. As I said before, there is no other place in the city of Chicago that 8 women can be shot and it just be like, oh, it's just nothing to see here. No. It's only because it's Black women that there's not an uproar about this. And we like to talk the dozens and play the dozens and talk about this and talk about that and strut around here. But look, that was a serious issue that happened. And I don't hear enough outrage or enough concern about it to even say, hey, look, these are women, actual people. Come on now. We can't have this kind of stuff going on in our communities and not say nothing about it or not caring about it. And it may be groups out there that's doing things, that's saying things. I don't know. But I'm trying to use my voice here today to bring awareness to what's going on. This is an alarming trend. This alarm bell should be going off for everyone, because if it's not your community today, it can be your community tomorrow. So we need to talk about what we can do. And I always want to offer solutions about what needs to happen and what can happen in the community to help. But I know that Black women are experiencing large amounts of disrespect on all levels. And that needs to stop. And we just have to figure out a way to work that out. And we will. When I was growing up, we had everybody in the neighborhood pretty much know everyone. We had block clubs. We had all kind of, we definitely had the older women that were not afraid to tell a younger woman what they needed to tell them to protect themselves. Or they were not afraid to hold account. And fathers were not afraid to hold account to someone that was doing something they shouldn't have been doing in the community. You can't see people doing things wrong on your block, in your school, in your environment, and don't say anything about it. Because the next thing you know, that next person that they're doing wrong could be you. So we all have a vested interest in making sure that we have a quality life in the communities where we live. Now, I know people say, well, you old fashioned, no, it ain't got nothing to do with that. When I grew up, we had a situation where we went to church. We had morals, we had values, we had a reverence for the women in our families. We looked up to them, we cared about them, we loved them, we respected them, all of that. And whatever Big Mama said, that's what it was. But we don't have that anymore. So we need to get back to that. There needs to be a hierarchy where these women are concerned. The older women need to administer to the younger women, and so on and so on and so on. They shouldn't be jealous of them or in competition with them. They should be schooling them and helping them and bringing them along, because that generation that's coming up next is going to need that. And so there needs to be a total revamp of how we handle our families in this 2023-2024 year. The first solution for tackling this problem is that the family itself. You need to care about your family. You can't have 8 women in your community being shot at one time and there's no uproar about it. There's nothing to see here, nothing to do that. Who does that? We are a community and we only have each other. So what happens if the foundations of the community, which is the mother and the father, are not present? Then we won't exist. So you have the men. You are the fathers, the uncles, the cousins, the brothers, the nephews of these women in these communities. Where are you? Older women, younger women. Hey, if you see you have a daughter, a niece, whatever, out here in these communities, we need to pull back. We need to reach for them. We shouldn't be in competition with them as older women. We are supposed to be the ones that's laying the foundation down for them to be able to move forward to the next level when we're gone. There needs to be a total revamp of how we dealing with our families in our communities. From top to bottom. I want to see us caring more about each other, more about what's happening within our communities, and just in general, being more respectful and being more morally conscious about what we do when we engage each other. Because if we don't, we already have so many people around us that don't want us to succeed. And now we're adding to the problem. We can't have that. We need to really, really pull ourselves together and think about what is important in our communities. And the women are certainly important in the community because they make up half of the community. So you can't have half of your community being attacked, and the other half being attacked. Where's the community? So let's just think about this calmly. And we're going to have to continue this discussion because there's a lot other things that go into this, like the drug culture, like slavery, like Jim Crow. It's all embedded in these issues within our community. And we need to find a way to talk about these things civilly and to take responsibility for our communities ourselves.